Hello, everybody. My name is Erin Smith. I am a professional tarot reader and an associate marriage and family therapist living in Los Angeles. Uh, Anyone who has been watching the news or who lives here personally knows that there's been significant calamity happening here over the last 5 days. And I usually do a weekly reading here. I also tend to track energies that are arising around the moon cycle. It's been pretty emotionally charged lately. I am extremely grateful to report that my house was not in the path of the fire. That said, I have many good friends who have lost their homes. They've lost everything. And I'm certainly aware of the fact that many people have been devastated by these fires, losing homes and livelihoods, and their land is reduced to rubble. So I think that, I was even considering not doing this week's reading at all. But my intention is to offer some kind of helpful, hopeful guidance in times like these. So this is going to be a reading geared towards asking for insight or guidance around what would be most helpful for us to know, do under these circumstances. This reading is going to apply mostly to people who've been affected by the fires who live in Los Angeles. But hopefully there'll be some kernel of wisdom that is useful to those of you who live in other places. I know that Los Angeles is not the only place in the world that's experiencing calamity right now. So this is my offering, and let's see what comes out of it. So I'm gonna go silent, concentrate while I shuffle. I'll be with you momentarily. Say a prayer of these cards. So here is the message. You know, when something like this happens, and happens on such an enormous scale, you know, that this is affecting an entire city, that the level of loss is unprecedented. This country has never seen an entire city, basically the size of Los Angeles, burn in this way. So many people have been displaced. So many people no longer have houses to return to. And so, in the face of this kind of catastrophic event, what we are also seeing is people coming together to assist one another. That grassroots organizations are popping up in areas of the city, both in and around the Eaton Fire and the Palisades, and you know, even in other areas, to people coming together to donate goods and services to help others. You know, I was even shocked to see that Airbnb had been offering people free lodging, people who had been affected by the fires, people who were evacuated, people who had lost homes. So, you know, there are people coming together in order to provide for those in need, and that the essence of this energy is of the highest good. It is like a spiritual tenet to be of service in times of disaster. And we are seeing this. And I think it is important to turn our attention, certainly to those of us who can go and contribute in whatever way is available to us, whether that is offering monetary donations, whether that is donating one's time to going and organizing food and clothes that are now being distributed amongst people who are homeless. You know, whatever that looks like for each of us, each one of us has something unique to contribute. We come together in this way under the banner of wanting to help others from this very pure place. ACEs are like getting a divine download from the universe. It is a very high octave of energy. And so I would say that in this time of great distress, enormous fear, worry, trepidation, rightfully so, to also avail yourself if you are in need of services that are being provided. And for those of us who can contribute, to go out and be of service, and that we come together to support one another in terms of whatever need is there, provide it in the ways that we can. And it's slow and steady wins the race. So it's also important to remember that this is an ongoing situation, meaning that we don't even have these fires out right now. So, you know, I think it's the Eaton fire, which I live relatively close to, is only 27% contained right now at this moment. And I'm not sure about the Palisades fire, but I know it is still burning. And the, you know, the beautiful work done by firefighters all over the state and those that have come in to help from other states. They are doing an amazing job trying to keep people safe and trying to put out this fire. And yet it's going to take some time. And then even once that imminent threat has been tended to, then we have this long extended work of rebuilding and everything that that entails. And, you know, this is such an intense process, you know, so many people are going to be in need of services for a long time. And, you know, how long will it take in order for insurance companies to reimburse people? And are those reimbursements going to actually cover the cost of their homes and their property? And what value is it to rebuild in a community that has been completely decimated? And certainly we are looking at some of the ill effects of this kind of disaster that already landlords are price gouging because there's such an overwhelming need to get into a rental property. And of course, there's this threat of investment bankers coming in to buy up all these properties at a reduced rate and then develop them. And so all of that is just to say that we have to kind of take this one step at a time and continue to offer assistance and be of service and tend to people's needs in a basic way and be consistent in our efforts to show up as we can so that we can help provide for people's needs. And a lot of that means that, you know, like the Eight of Swords is really the kind of fear, the kind, how easy it is to become immobilized by fear. So anyone who has gone through a trauma or a tragedy knows that it really impairs your ability to think clearly. And, you know, there are just physiological reasons that that is the case. You know, there's so much research to support this notion that when we are in fight or flight, our prefrontal cortex goes offline. It's very hard to make wise choices, to engage your executive function when we're in a state of fear. It's paralytic, and that is really what the Eight of Swords is trying to make us aware of. It can absolutely impair our perception, make it hard for us to know where to go in order to get our needs met when we are just gripped with this kind of fear. And so in any way that you can, the suggestion here is to make sure that you're resting. The Four of Swords is literally taking respite from the battle of life. And I, you know, look, I get it. It's like, that's not an easy thing to do when you are confronted with certain circumstance. So in any way that you can, try to take care of yourself, try to rest, try to come back into a state of equilibrium so that you're able to see what opportunities are available in order for you to get your needs met. And then I think this is true for all of us. Be willing to speak out. Use your voices for the greater good, either to ask for what you need, and then for those of us who are able to continue to speak up on the behalf of those who might be taken advantage of in the immediate circumstances on the other side of these fires. And additionally, to use our voices to talk about the calamity of climate crisis, which we are absolutely in. There is no denying it. Whatever, thoughts around like this will happen someday, it's here. It's here. There's no denying it. We're seeing this happen across the world, these catastrophic weather events that are absolutely related to the rise of the temperature of the world, which undoubtedly the science points to this being related to fossil fuels, to burning fossil fuels, to fossil fuel production. So, that means plastics, that means, the gas we put in our cars, that means the coal that gets burned in order to produce electricity. We have to acknowledge the truth of what we are seeing, and that is that this is not an isolated event, and this isn't the last time we're going to see this. You say what you like. Like, I've lived in Los Angeles since 1996, and certainly there have been forest fires in the past. There have, Santa Anas are common. There's never been anything like this. This is absolutely related to climate change, and we have to use our voices in order to speak truth to these circumstances, in order to shift the paradigm, because this is real. We are living in a dying ecosystem, and we cannot continue along the lines that we have been, that we really desperately need a paradigm change, a different way of doing things, a different way of thinking about things. Instead of thinking of nature as something to be exploited, objectifying it for financial gain, only looking at a forest's value in terms of how much you can get at market for it, instead of looking at this as a living ecosystem of which we are all a part. We are tearing the house down around us while we're still living in it. And all will suffer. This is the thing that I'm not sure people who are making decisions in terms of policy regarding continuing to give fossil fuel companies carte blanche to do what they're doing. No one is going to get out alive. So I don't care how rich you are or how powerful you are. When there is a collapse of our ecosystem, everyone goes down. And so it behooves all of us to pay attention and to tend to one another and the world around us in a good way. So you can think of these, needing to shift our perspective. How can we be of service? How can we contribute, rather than what can we extract? What can we take? There is no such thing as every man for himself. We are in it together. We are in it together, and together we can build a society, a world that is mutually beneficial. And we're going to just do it again, one step at a time. The energy and effort that we put into growing more trees, to tending to the earth in a good way, not destroying the soil with chemical fertilizers, getting rid of factory farms, stop clear cutting forests in the Amazon. All of these things, when we are tending to one another and the earth in a good way, we can formulate a new reality for one another. So it happens at a microcosmic level and it happens at a macrocosmic level. As above, so below. These interpersonal exchanges of tending to one another's needs in a good way reflects outward into how we come together as larger societies to care for one another in a good way. And it includes animals, and it includes trees, and it includes water. But remember, it's like this is a process, one day at a time. We're going to show up one day at a time. I'm sending you all so much love. And I don't know, I hope something in this message was helpful to you, and let's stay connected. Let's continue to support one another. Blessings.